Hi everyone, Namo Myoho Renge-kyo. Thank you for being here. Welcome. Looks like this is the end of book 5. Yesterday I spent several hours going through the first 5 of 6 books that I've created of collections of Gosho that I could get my hands on. And we've talked about how the authenticity of all of those and the translation problems and all of that. That's why I'm doing this series of videos to cut through all of that, the biases, and even some of the controversial letters of Nichiren. There's many extant letters, and then there are letters which have questionable origin, and all of them, as Shakyamuni behooved us to do, is to study the entire scholarship of Buddhism as well as non-Buddhist scholarship, as long as it's scholarship, not just anyway. And what by following that advice of Shakyamuni's, I have extended my own self beyond the strictures of organizations and sects and all of that, and I've just done my own research, and I've gone through universities, either physically from UC Santa Barbara to UC Irvine and Purdue, and everywhere I could go and research religious studies and find out about Nichiren specifically and Buddhism in general. I've done a lot of research online, which is amazing that we can do that these days. And I've ordered a lot of books. I've read a lot of books. I've found translations of books online that were no longer available or not in print. H. Kearns one has come to mind, and it appears every now and again on Amazon, the world's bookstore, or other. I found some books on Tendai published in India. Had to get them from a publisher there because no one, if I found them anywhere in the United States, they'd want hundreds and even thousands of dollars for some of these books that were incredibly inexpensive from press like Shambhala Press, but I don't remember what press company this was in India where I found these books on Tendais. And then there are books that you could only get as research papers in CD form because they're still currently being developed. All of that is to say that the more you study, the more you start to glean the meaning and the truth of what Shakyamuni was discussing in all of the teachings. And when you start to have those clarity moments, those moments where this is a constant thread, and now I understand what that thread means, and so on and so forth. The translation biases and the weird little inflections of Western idioms that don't belong there, and so on and so forth, they just become glaring, and you can either you do as I've tried to do and get rid of them altogether and try to stay truer to the words of the Dharma, or you simply learn how to edit them out as you read. But if you're anything like me, that's just not good enough for me, because I will catch myself, studying or restudying something, and darned if that biases or that idiom doesn't get by me and start to confuse me, and I have to go back and reread because these words are just so wrong, and they derail me, and maybe that's my attention span problem, maybe not. Anyway, so I've collected in bigger print so you could read it, because if any one of you has bought any translations of Gosho specifically, the print is so small as only a teenager can read it. I'm too old for that, so I had to do nice, large, 12-point print so I can read it. Anyway, so a big endeavor of mine has been to collect all of what I could find as far as Nichiren's letters and assemble them into my own 6 volumes, and all large print, and all as stripped as I could make them of misleading rhetoric. I didn't take it all out because some of it is just, it's part of the stories, right? So I'm not trying to rewrite Nichiren's letters. That would be terrible to do. I let them stand for what they are based on the colloquialisms and the vernacular and the history of the day. I'm not trying to do that. But when there's words like faith and beliefs and these words that are very Western and not congruent with Asian thought, let alone ancient Asian thought, I turn those into more conceptual words like confidence and determination and resolve. Resolve is a very different word, resonates far differently with you and I, Westerners, than the word faith, which is attached very idiomatically and culturally in our existence as Western religious thought, whether it's Islam or Hebrew or Muslim or Christian, whatever. The word faith has a tremendous amount of charisma about it, and it indicates something outside the self in some form, like prayer, the desire for something to be given to you. And that's just not Buddhism, is it? When you study Buddhism, you understand that everything is within the self. Even Nichiren's words that you shouldn't seek the Gohonzon outside yourself. That the Gohonzon is a mental condition within the self. And that's one of the key components that I really got for me when I studied Nagarjuna. But this idea that Buddhism essentially is a perceptive science, and it is an experiential science. And I say science because it's so meticulous at breaking everything down into functions of the mind. Even the stories are about how the mind affects our experience of life, right? So words like faith is just, it doesn't belong. And I think even if you don't understand what I'm saying, the fact that I remove that word and replace it with resolve or determination, like Nichiren says, single-mindedly seeking Buddha, single-mindedly wanting to instantiate this perceptive awareness of Buddha mind. I mean, it's everywhere in the Buddhist canon, but a little word can trip you. And then you're confused and you start thinking, a lot of people get magical about this, and there's nothing magical about Buddhism. So anyway, enough said on all that. My endeavor with these 6 books has been to clean up that kind of confusion with as little intrusion into the letters. Just trying to get that Western or biases out of the way. That's my only endeavor. And anyway, we're reaching the end of the 5th book. So the 6th book, I spent hours yesterday, as I began to say, going back through all of these books. And they're all getting a new cover. So if you looked at these old covers, they don't look like that anymore. So you'll know you're looking at the latest edition when you see a partial image of this mandala on the cover. They're still red, but they have a very different look. And the 6th book I haven't gone through yet, so it's not updated. But the 5th book I finished yesterday, and we're reading the last of the letters contained in the 5th book today. So we'll be finishing that, and we'll start on the 6th book. And then I guess we'll go back to what I was doing before, is looking at different sutras, ones that I think would be beneficial. Well, they're all beneficial, but for me to dig through maybe some of the early teachings. If you have some suggestions for particular sutras that aren't on this channel already, because I've gone through the entire Lotus Sutra, but chapter by chapter. I've talked about the Vilamakirti, the Lankavatara, the Perfection of Wisdom. I have entire playlists, if you look on this channel, for those sutras. If there's a sutra, like I've had a few on the Surangama, but I may not have done an exhaustive chapter by chapter. Anyway, if there's a particular sutra, an authentic sutra, not some wacko thing, but something within the canon of Buddhism that you think you would really like my take on, then you're only going to help my program of study. So please suggest it in the comments, and I will take your suggestions seriously, and I will find the scholarship that I can around that, and we'll go, I'll read it, I'll chant about it, and when I feel clear about it, I will go chapter to chapter, and we'll make a playlist about that sutra, and wherever it stands in the Buddhist canon, we'll discuss it. It all feeds our scholarship we all find our aha moments, our inspirations, our insights into who we are and how we practice Buddhism from varied sources. So expand my sources, terrific. If I can go through those particular, maybe you're attached to a certain sutra for some reason, you may hear a different take on it from me, and that may be all you need to finally get something that's been blocking you for whatever reason, or inspire you further. So that's what this Sangha is all about. So let's do it together. This final letter, I've already gone into this over 10 minutes, is the Dragon Gate. And without further ado, let's dive in. A waterfall called the Dragon Gate exists in China. Its waters plunge 100 feet, swifter than an arrow shot by a strong warrior. It is said that the great many carp gather in the basin below, hoping to climb the falls, and that any that succeeds will turn into a dragon. Not a single carp, however, out of 100, 1,000, or even 10,000 can climb the falls, not even after 10 or 20 years. Some are swept away by the strong currents. Some fall prey to eagles, hawks, kites, and owls. And others are netted, scooped up, or even shot with arrows by fishermen who line both banks of the falls 10 cho wide. Such is the difficulty a carp faces in becoming a dragon. I feel a fable. There were once two major warrior clans in Japan, the Minamoto and the Taira. They were like two resolute minds and watchful watchdogs at the gates of the imperial palace. They were as eager to guard the emperor as humble mountain folks are to admire the full moon on the 15th day or night of the 8th month as it rises from behind the mountains. They marveled at the elegant parties of the court nobles and their ladies, just as monkeys in the trees are enraptured by the sight of the moon and the stars glittering in the sky. Though of low rank, they longed to find some way to mingle in court circles. But even though Saramori of the Taira clan crushed the rebellion of Masakado, he was still not admitted to court, nor were any of his descendants, including Masamori. Not until the time of Masamori's son, Taramori, were any of the Taira clan granted permission to enter the court. The next in line, Kiyomori, and his son, Shigemori, not only enjoyed life among the court nobles, but saw the moon rise when Kigomori's daughter became the emperor's consort, and the sun appeared when his grandson became emperor. Attaining Buddhahood is no easier than for men of low status to enter court circles or for carp to climb the Dragon Gate. We knew we were coming to this, right? Shariputra, for example, practiced bodhisattva austerities for 60 kalpas in order to attain Buddhahood, but finally could persevere no longer and slipped back into the path of the two vehicles, learning and realization. So he slipped out of bodhisattva back into learning and realization, became very preoccupied with his understanding of the teachings, but not practicing and sharing those practices, those teachings from bodhisattva back into, and this is the people often labeled of incorrigible disbelief, because we can get very drugged. As much as I talk about study, you should also hear, and I am very much aware that study, being a student, can be quite intoxicating. I know this from my own experiences. I've gone back to school several times in my life, and I really love that knowledge gathering environment, right? I derive great benefit from it, but I also recognize that you can become a perennial student, as it were, and never take that knowledge to benefit your life, which includes your environment, right? In Buddhism, we're not solipsistic beings. We are part of a much larger, you might say, an organism, a mental organism that is in everything, not just in other people. And if we don't spread or utilize what we learn in our communications with others, the planet and people, we're basically cutting off the teaching. And so this is why bodhisattva practice is so important. And even from the most subtle exemplary, if you go out into society and you behave with your Buddha mind, you are influencing others around you, even if you don't teach them directly. But obviously, to take that next step and teach directly is very revolutionary, especially to a self that tends to be isolationist. Sometimes words won't come. And so that's something that whenever you see it in yourself, you should actively work to break through that, because it's a karmic impediment, and it's a impediment to the teaching in general. And that is the meaning of slipping back down into the men of the two worlds, the two vehicles, sorry. Even some of those who formed ties with the Lotus Sutra in the days of the Buddha, great universal wisdom excellence, this is a story again, sank into the sufferings of birth and death for the duration of major world system dust particle kalpas. So there you have it. If you slip from bodhisattva, being an example in society, and helping those around you understand and lead them toward their own manifestation of Buddha, their own learning, their own experience, their own quest for excellence and achieving Buddha-ness. You slip, even though you think of learning and realizations as higher worlds, right? They are still worlds within samsara, and so you will experience suffering. You may even experience suffering from knowing, because the activity of sharing and cultivating other minds of Buddha is Buddhism. It is necessary for our own enlightenment. Do you see how previous teachings then fall short? Why they're provisional? It is only in Myoho Renge Kyo, in the Lotus Sutra, that this is made indelibly clear. Some others who received the seeds of Buddhahood in the even more remote past suffered for the length of numberless major world system dust particle kalpas. All these people practiced the Lotus Sutra, but when harassed in one way or another by the devil king of the sixth heaven, in other words, earthly influences, who had taken possession of their rulers and other authorities, they backslid and forsook their resolute mind, and thus wandered amongst the six paths for countless kalpas. So that's a pretty strong admonition against backsliding, against forgetting what the essential practice of your Buddha-ness is about, your bodhisattva way. To do any less is to remain in samsara, just idly practicing ritual without really attaining perfect immediate enlightenment, which is what this whole program is about, right? Until recently, these events seem to have had no bearing on us, but now we find ourselves facing the same kind of ordeal. My wish is that all my disciples, my students, make a great vow. We are very fortunate to be alive after the widespread epidemics that occurred last year and the year before. He could be speaking directly to you and I. But now, with the impending Mongol invasion, it appears that few will survive. I can't help but think of the machinations going on under the eye of popular media about the when all these stories in the West we have about poking the bear with a stick. Iran, a nuclear power, really is. Trump already poked the bear in North Korea. How much more did he begin the groundwork? And he didn't begin it. It started before him with, we're constantly poking the bear of Iran. And that could spell a hugely disastrous war on this planet because Iran has allies in other major countries. Anyway, I don't want to slip too much into politics, but I just want you to understand that these cautions that Nichiren is talking about in Japan are very much alive in our world today. So I don't know how much motivation you and I need to really work hard as bodhisattva and for our own enlightenment and others. But there's plenty here to inspire, right? In the end, no one can escape death, regardless, right? The sufferings at that time will be exactly like what we are experiencing now. Since death is the same in either case, you should be willing to offer your life for the Lotus Sutra. And this is not to die as an offering to the Lotus Sutra. Don't misunderstand this. This is the level of commitment to Myoho Renge Kyo. Is that there is nothing in life that is more sacred, more important than to attain Myoho Renge Kyo, to attain your Buddha-ness, nor the Buddha-ness of those and everything around you, Bodhisattva way. This is the vow that Nichiren is talking about. Think of this offering as a drop of dew rejoining the ocean, or a speck of dust returning to earth. A passage from the 3rd volume of the Lotus Sutra reads, quote, "We beg that the merit or the rewards gained through these gifts may be spread far and wide to everyone, so that we and other living beings all together may attain the Buddha way." With my deep respect, Nichiren. So, in case you were not aware, when you recite Gangyo, this last portion of the 16th chapter that you recite, Zuyo Shokado Ise Shujo Ho Maichi Zazenen Igaryo Shujo Tokunyu Mujodo Sokusho Shu Bushin. That short section there, and I have an English translation in the back of the book. If you're not familiar with the book I have available on my bookstore's site. Always I'm aware of which living beings practice the way and which do not, and in response to their seeds for salvation, I preach various doctrines for them. At all times, I think to myself, How can I cause living beings to gain entry into the unsurpassed way and quickly acquire the body of a Buddha? In other words, the reward body, right? So, this is one of the reasons we do Gangyo, so that we keep reinstantiating that vow, that our lives achieve supreme meaning, Buddhahood, through helping other living beings attain the same thing, Buddhahood. And that takes different forms, but if it's in our mind all the time, right, it doesn't mean you have to go out and lasso people and force them to chant. Not at all. It means you, as an exemplar in your life, always look at other people as potential Buddha. And with whatever tools you have, assist them in knowing that fact. Ultimately leading them to practice Myoho and Geikyo, but those may not be the first steps. We inspire others all the time. People are vain, so they hide their inspiration. But always know in your own mind that everything you meet in life is a potential teacher to you, a Buddha. And it is your vow to expect that, to support that, and to respect and value that. No, it's not an easy task, but that's the Bodhisattva way. That's what we're all looking to achieve. Sometimes it starts with family members, but be cautious, as Nichiren warns many times in his letters. The most resistance can come from those closest to you. But that also means when you're out in society and you're shopping at stores and you meet the teller and you're buying things, make your attitude inspiring to that person. You don't know when you'll meet them again. You don't know if your little 10-second interaction with them won't change their path in life. Look at everything you do from that lens. Isn't that amazing? And difficult, especially in these times, right? As Shakyamuni told us, we live in the age of greed, anger, and stupidity. So you're going to confront it every day. That's the age we live in, not only in ourselves, but all around us. Be incredibly alert. Be aware, awaken to Buddha. And you're going to trip, falter, derail, and you're going to go to your mandala and you're going to chant, oh man, I'm such a mess. Or why is that person this? Or why am I that? Or why do I draw this? Those are earthly desires. That's your samsaric reality. But rest assured in this one fact, that if you take it to your mandala and hunker down and chant until you feel calm, those things will change. You will have insight in how you might change it in your mind. You may not have insight on how you change it in your mind, but it will change anyway. What you will gain is a key word here, is confidence. Confidence not in your earthly self, but confidence in your Buddha-ness and Buddha-ness in general, because it is all around us and within us. Gohanzon is a lens through which we experience Buddhahood, and it is everywhere. It's just concealed under the rubble of samsara. Okay? Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to start the next book. You can go to threefoldlotus.com and you can see a link on the right side to books. That'll take you to the bookstore if you're interested. Like I said, the first 5 books I've gone through. I haven't ordered a proof of them yet. I'm waiting to do the 6th book. And then once they're all up to par, some kind of par, I will then order one of each book. So that'll be my artist proof. Go through them one last time. So I'm going to reread them again. And then I'll release them all to worldwide publishing. But you can get them right now on lulu.com. And in the meantime, keep your practice strong. I'm so incredibly proud of you and inspired by you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. My patrons, you guys are amazing. Either through Patreon or those of you who just occasionally, when you have, when you're able, all of that is super, super critical to keeping things going here, if nothing more than to buy more books, more sutras. Don't forget to leave comments if you have a particular sutra you'd like me to dive into. And in the meantime, please take care of your health, be kind, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Bye-bye.